Assalamu alaikum guys, I hope all of you are doing well. This is Bilal and I am going to be solving Maths 0580 paper 4 topical questions today, and the topic that we're going to be doing today is mensuration. But before we begin, I'd like to share something very important. All revenue generated from this channel for the first 6 months will be donated to Palestine, inshallah. So please do like, subscribe, and share our channel to help support our cause. Alright, let's start. So we're going to start with question number 35, which says that a rectangular sheet of paper ABCD is made into an open cylinder with edges AB meeting the edge DC. Alright, AD is 28 and AB is 20. Okay, AD is 28 and AB is 20. So if we make this into a cylinder, this sort of becomes the circumference of the circle. Okay, so the circumference of the circle is 28. Okay, and the height of the circle of the cylinder is 20. Okay, show that the radius of the cylinder is 4.46 centimeter. Correct to three significant figures. So what we can say is that circumference, the formula for circumference is 2 pi r, and we do know that circumference is 28. So we could simply equate 28 is equals to 2 pi r. Right, that would give us r is equals to 28 over 2 pi, which would give us 14 over pi, and our final answer would be 4.456, and if we round it off it would just be 4.46. Simple enough. Alright, moving forward, calculate the volume of the cylinder. So the formula for volume is V is equals to pi r square h. Alright, we know the value of r, which is 14 over pi, and we know the value of h, which is 20. Alright, so if we simply insert these values, that would give us V is equals to pi 14 over pi whole squared into 20. Alright, and now if we further solve this, this would give us pi into 196, which is the square of 14, and pi squared into 20. This would give us 3920 over pi, resulting in our final answer being 1248 centimeters square. Alright, pretty simple. Moving forward, N is a point on the base of the cylinder such that BN is the diameter. Calculate the angle between AN and the base of the cylinder. Alright, so this is the point N, and NB is such that this is the diameter. Okay, and this is AN. So we need to calculate this angle. We need to calculate this angle. Alright, so how do we do that? We could use tan. Now the formula for tan is TOA. Alright, opposite over adjacent. Okay, so we could say tan theta is equals to opposite over adjacent. Opposite is this and this is adjacent. Alright, so that would give us 20, where is the height, over the twice radius, which is the diameter. This would result in 20 over 2 into 4.456 this would give us tan theta is equals to 2.244, and if we take tan to the other side, tan inverse, that would result in a final answer of 66 degrees. Alright, so our final answer is 66.0 degrees. Fairly simple. Moving on to the next part number B. The volume of a solid cone is 310. The height of the cone is twice the radius of its base. Alright, and we need to calculate the slant height of the cone, and we're given the formula for volume. Alright, so the formula for taking out the volume is volume is equals to 1 over 3 pi r square h. Okay, let's just insert the values we have. Okay, volume is equal to 1 over 3 pi. We don't know the value of r, but we do know that h is twice the radius. H is 2r. Alright, so 2r. If we further simplify this, this would give us 2 over 3 pi r cube. Simple enough. That is our volume. Now, we know that volume equals 310. So let's just equate this, and that would give us our radius. Alright. So 2 over 3 pi r cube is equal to 310. And now if we just take all the terms on the other side, r square is equals to 310 into 3 over 2 pi. Okay, and now if we take cube root on both sides, that would leave us with a simplified answer of 5.2897. Alright, that's our radius. Now, calculate the slant height of the cone. Okay, so the formula for calculating the slant height is slant height L is equals to r square plus h square. Okay, so simply put, we know the value of r. Okay, what we could simply do is we could say that slant height is equals to r square plus 2r squared. Okay, that would give us a simplified answer of r into root 5, and now you could simply substitute the values, which would mean 5.2897 into root of 5. That would give us a value of 11.828, and our final answer comes to 11.8. Alright, pretty simple. That was question number 35. Moving on to the next question, question number 36. Okay, so calculate the volume of a solid cylinder with a radius 6 and height 14. Okay, so the formula for volume is V is equals to pi r square h. That would mean that pi into r square, which is 6, into height, which is 14, that would give us 504 pi, which if we solve it further would give us 1583.6 36, and that is our final answer, 1583. Alright, moving forward, a solid hemisphere has a radius 6. Okay, the volume V of the sphere with a radius R is V is equals to 4 over 3 pi R cube. Alright, so we need to find the volume. Okay, so the volume of a sphere is 4 by 3 pi R cube, and we need to find the volume of a solid hemisphere. Okay, so what we can do is divide the whole formula of volume by 2. That would give us the volume of the hemisphere. That would mean volume is equal to 1 over 2 into this whole formula, 4 over 3 pi R cube. Alright, that would give us 2 over 3 pi into 6 cube. And if we solve it, that would give us 144 pi. And if we simply solve it further, this would give us an answer of 452.39, and that would be our final answer. Alright, perfect. Moving on. The cylinder and hemisphere in part A are joined to form a solid in the diagram. The solid is made of steel, and 1 centimeter of steel has a mass of 7.85 grams. Okay. Show that 1 centimeter of steel has a mass of 0.00785 kilograms. Pretty simple. What we're going to do is we're simply going to say that 7.85 grams, okay, divided by 1000, because 1 kilogram has 1000 grams. That would give us 0.00785. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Alright, moving on to part C, part 2 of part C. Alright, calculate the total mass of the solid. Okay, we need to figure out how much the mass actually weighs. Okay, part B, part 2. Okay, so we need to figure out how much the solid actually weighs. All right, how are we going to do that? We're going to do that by finding out the volume. Okay, so the total volume of the solid is the volume of this part, the hemisphere, and the volume of this part. Alright, so we already know the volume of the hemisphere, which was 144 pi, and we already know the volume of the solid cylinder, which is 504 pi. So we're just gonna add these two, simply add. Okay, so 504 pi plus 144 pi, and if we take out the sum, that would give us 648 pi. Okay, that's the volume. We figure out the volume, but we need to figure out the mass of the solid. Okay, so how do you figure out the mass? So mass is equals to 648 pi, and the kg per kilogram is the mass per kilogram is the mass per 1 centimeter. The kg per centimeter is the kg plus per centimeter is 0.00785. So we're just gonna write 648 pi, which is the volume, which is the volume in centimeters, into per centimeter weight. All right, 0.00785. That would give us 15.9807 kgs, and that would be our final answer, 15.9807 kg. Alright, makes sense. Moving on to part C, part 1. 200 centimeter of iron is melted down and some of it is used to make 50 spheres with radius of 2 centimeters. Calculate the percentage of iron that is left over. The volume V of sphere with radius r is 4 over 3 pi r cube. Alright, so we need to figure out we need to figure out the percentage of iron that is left over after making 50 spheres. Okay, so the radius of one sphere we know is 2, alright, and the volume of one sphere is 4 over 3 pi r cube, alright. That would mean it's 4 over 3 pi 2 cube, alright. That if we further simplify this would give us 32 over 3 pi, alright. Simple till here. That's the volume of one sphere. What about the volume of 50 spheres? Simply multiply. So 50 into 32 over 3 pi. That would give us 1675.516 centimeter cube. Alright, that is the volume of all 50 spheres. Okay, now we melted down 2000 and we utilized 1675. Okay, so how much is left over? How much does that leave us with? Okay, so that should leave us with 2000 minus 1675.516. That should leave us with 324.4839 centimeter cube. Okay, now we could stop over here, but the question says for a percentage, the percentage of iron. All right, so to find out the percentage, simply 324.4839 divided by the total iron which is melted down, which is 2000, in 200, and if we solve this, this would give us 16.224, and that would be our final answer. Moving forward, the leftover iron is then made into a cube. Calculate the length of an edge of the cube. Alright, so the length of an edge of the cube would simply be the leftover volume is 324.3839, and a cube, the formula for the volume of a cube is simply L cube. Yes, so if this is the volume, we could simply take a cube root of this, 324.4839 cube root. That would give us 6.8717, and that is our final answer. Alright, part D. So, a solid cone has a radius of 3r and a slant height of 9r. A solid cylinder has a radius of x centimeter and a height of 7x. The total surface area of the cone equals the total surface area of the cylinder. That means we need to equate the two. Equate the surface area of the cone to the surface area of the cylinder. Alright? So let's start. So first we need to find the surface area of the cone. Alright? So surface area of cone. So this sort of has two areas. Okay, first is the curved area. Alright, the formula for which would be pi r and L, the slant height. Alright, that would give us pi 3r into 9r, resulting in 27 pi r square. The second area is the base area. The formula for the base area would be pi r square. This would give us pi into 3r squared, which would give us 9 pi r squared. Alright, so the total surface area for the cone would be 27 pi r squared plus 9 pi r squared, okay, which should give us a total of 36 pi r squared. Alright, let's move on to the surface area of the cylinder. Okay, so for the cylinder we have two circular bases, okay, and we have the curved area. So starting with the curved area, the formula would be 2 pi r, okay, h, all right, which would give us 2 pi x into 7x, giving us 14 pi x squared, and the area of the two bases would be 2 into pi r squared, alright, which would give us 2 pi x squared, alright. So the total surface area for the cylinder would be 14 pi x squared plus 2 pi x squared, which would give us 16 pi x squared. Alright, so the question says to equate the two surface areas, okay? Equate the two areas. So when we equate, we would get 36 pi r squared is equals to 16 pi x squared. Alright, the pi and the pi gets cancelled. We would be left with 36 r squared is equals to 16 x squared, and if we further simplify this, we would get 9 r squared is equals to 4x squared, and so r squared would be 4 over 9 x squared, which if you further simplify would be 2 over 3 x squared, alright, and given that r is equals to kx, alright, given that r is equals to kx, okay, so we need to bring it in this form, r is equals to kx. So let's just take the under root on both sides, under root on both sides, and that would give us r is equals to 2 over 3x, alright. There you go. Alright, so this would be our answer. R is equals to 2 over 3x. Now we have this in the form of r is equals to kx. So what would the value of k? By simple comparing, the value of k would equal 2 over 3. Alright, and that is our final answer, 2 over 3. Alright, perfect. Question number 37. Show that the volume of water in the trough is 206.4 liters. Alright, so first what we need to do is we need to calculate the area of the trapezium, and then we need to calculate the volume of the prism. Okay, so that would mean area is equals to 1 over 2 into sum of sides into height. Alright, that would give us 1 over 2 into 50 plus 36, this is the sum of sides, into 40. Alright, that would give us 1 over 2 into 86 into 40, and that should give us 1720. Alright, that's the area. Okay, now let's calculate the volume of the prism. So volume would be area, which we just found out over here, alright, multiplied by the length, alright, which means 1720 into the length, which is 120. This would give us 206,400, and now we need to convert this into liters. Okay, so 1 liter equals 1000 centimeter cube. Okay, this is centimeter cube, this is volume. So 1 liter is equal to 1000 centimeter cube. So volume in liters would be 206,400 divided by 1000, and this would give us 206.4, and this is our final answer. Alright, perfect. Next, the water from the trough is emptied at a rate of 600 ml per second. Okay, calculate the time taken in minutes and seconds for the trough to be emptied. Okay, so the time that it would take, okay, so empty rate of 600 ml per second, so that would mean 0.6 liters per second. Okay, and the volume is 206.4. All right, so if we need to find out the time in seconds, we could simply do 206.4 is the total volume divided by the rate in liters, 0.6. That would give us 344. Okay, so this is seconds. Okay, so now we need to convert this to minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply divide it by 60, and that would give us a final answer of, I suppose, 5 minutes and 44 seconds. That's our final answer. Alright, perfect. Moving on. All the water from the trough is emptied into a vertical cylindrical tank. The depth of the water in the tank is 84 centimeter. Calculate the radius of the tank. Okay, so we know that the volume that we have is 206 liters, or in centimeters, because we need to use centimeters over here, so we could simply take centimeters. It is 206,400 centimeter. Okay, so 206,400 centimeter cube. All right, That is the volume of water that we have. Now, the formula for volume is pi r squared into 84, and we simply equate this to 206400. Now, by simply rearranging and simplifying, we're going to get the value of r. Alright, so this would simply mean r squared is equal to 206400 divided by 84 pi. Okay, that would give us r squared is equals to 2640 over pi, and taking root on both sides, this should give us under root 783.1, resulting in a final answer of 27.98, and you could simply round this off to 28. Moving on to part 2, the tank is 60% full. Calculate the height of the tank. So height would be h. We need to find out h, and so can we say 60% of the volume, which is pi r square h, equals 206400. Yes, that would be correct. Then 60% would mean 0.6 into pi into 28 squared into h is 206400, and if we further simplify, this would give us h is equals to 206400 divided by 1476, which would give us 139.8, and this would be rounded off to 140 centimeters. Alright, part D. So, a steel rod AM is placed inside the empty water as shown in the diagram. A is a vertex at the base of the isosceles trapezium. M is the midpoint of the top edge on the opposite face. Alright, calculate the length of the steel rod AM. Alright, so what we could do is you could simply use Pythagoras theorem, alright, to find out the length of this. Alright, so to simply put it, we're going to say that it's going to be 40 squared plus 120 squared plus 18. Okay, what's that? Okay, so that is going to be our equation. Okay, so that will mean AM is equal to root 18 squared plus 40 squared plus 120 squared. Okay, that would give us 127.76, rounding off to 128. Perfect. All right, question number 38. Okay, the diagram shows a solid triangular prism ABCDEF of length 15, AB is 6.4, EB is 5.7, and the volume of the prism is 145 centimeter. Show that angle EBA is 32. Okay, so the angle EBA, this angle is 32 to the nearest degree. Okay, so what we're simply going to do is we're going to say that the area of the whole triangle is going to be 145, all right, divided by 15. That would give us 9.667. All right, after that we're going to use the sign. Okay, so we're going to use sign, which will be opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, so that is going to give us sine of the theta, sine theta is equals to 2 into 9.667 over 6.4 into 5.7. Alright, that is going to give us 0.52997, and theta is going to be sine inverse 0.52997, and that would give us 32. Alright, part B. Find the length of EA. Okay, we're gonna use the cosine rule. Alright, so we're gonna say EA squared is equals to 6.4 squared plus 5.7 squared minus 2, 6.4 into 5.7 into cos of the angle, which is 32.003. Alright, that should give us EA is equals to root of 11.577. That should equal 3.403, and that gives us a final answer of 3.40. Perfect. Part C. Calculate the shortest distance from E to AB. Alright, so we're going to say distance is equals to 2 times of area over AB. Alright, that should give us 2 into 9.667 over 6.4. That would give us 3.020. That gives us a final answer of 3.02. Alright, part B. Calculate the angle BF makes with the base ABCD of the prism. Okay, so we're going to use tan, we're going to use which is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so we need both the sides, we need the opposite side and the adjacent side. Okay, so we're going to say tan theta is equals to 5.7 sine 32, which is the angle. This is basically the calculated side that we've already calculated. Okay, root 15 square plus 5.7 cos 32. This is the cosine rule that we used above. Alright, here, this part. Okay, that should give us a theta 10.8. Alright, part E. So the formula for density is equals to mass over volume. We know the density is 938, and we know that we don't know the mass, and we know that the volume is already given, which is 145. So that should give us 938 into 145 136010 m, and so there is an okay. So we need to convert this. So we need to divide this by 1000. That should give us our answer in grams, which is 136.01 grams, and that is our final answer. All right, perfect. On to question number 39, part A. Okay, calculate the area of the triangle PQR. All right, pretty simple. It's a basic formula, 1 over 2 into 24 into 8. Okay, and that should give us 96. All right, calculate the angle PQR. So we're simply going to use tan. We're going to say tan theta is equals to 8 over 24, which would give us 1 over 3. So we're going to say tan inverse 1 over 3, and that should give us 18.4 degrees. Alright, part B. The diagram shows a half cylinder of radius 6 and length 11. Calculate the volume of the half cylinder. Okay. So volume of the half cylinder, the formula would be simple. We'd simply divide it by 2. So it would be 1 over 2. Alright. Into pi r square into the slant length, which would give us 1 over 2 pi into r square, which is 6 squared, into 11. This would give us 198 pi, which is equal to 622. Perfect. Okay, moving on. Part C. ABCD is a rectangle with AB is equals to 20, BC is 15, SX and T. SX and T are points with the center O. Alright, the radius of the circle is 4. Okay, the shape, okay. Calculate the area of the shaded shape. So what we're going to do, we're going to first find the area of the rectangle. Okay, so area of rectangle, this would be AB into BC, which is 20 into 15. This would give us 300. Alright, we have the area of the rectangle. Now we're going to calculate the area of the square. Okay, so area of the square would be simply 4 into 4, which is 16. Alright, next we're going to calculate the area of the sector. Okay, area of sector. This would give us 270 over 360. Okay, into pi into r square, which is 4. This would give us 12 pi, which is 37.7. Okay, and then we're gonna simply calculate the area of the removed region. Okay, removed region. So that would be 16 plus 12 pi. This is the area I need to remove. This would become 53.7. And finally, to get the area of the shaded region, we're we're gonna say 300, which is the area of the rectangle, the whole rectangle, minus area of the removed region, which is 53.7, and that gives us a final answer of 246 centimeters squared. Perfect. Part 2. Calculate the perimeter of the shaded region. Okay, so the perimeter consists of the two sides of the rectangle, the two tangent segments, and the arc. Okay, so we need to calculate all of these lengths individually and then we need to add them. Okay, so AD is, as you can see from the question, 15, DC is 20, DS is 4, DT is again 4. These all are given, and as for the arc would be 270 over 360 into 2 pi into the radius, which is 4. This would give us 18.85. Okay, now we're simply going to add all of these values and this would give us the perimeter. Okay, so 15 plus 20 plus 4 plus 4 plus 18.85. This would give us a final answer of 61.85, and if we round this off, this would give us 61.9. Perfect. Okay. Question number 40. A cone has a base diameter of 8 cm and perpendicular height of 15. Calculate the volume of the cone. The volume V of the cone with radius R and height h is V is equals to 1 over 3 pi r square h. Alright, perfect. So the diameter is 8 and the radius is 4 and the height is 15. Simply putting it into the formula, V is equals to 1 by 3 pi r square into the height 15. This would give us 80 pi. This would equal 251, which is our final answer. Pretty simple, right? Okay. Part 2. Calculate the area of the label as a percentage of the total surface area of the cone. Alright. So let's start with the slant height. So this is r square plus h square, okay, which would give us 4 squared plus 15 squared, which is root of 241, giving us a final answer of 15.524. Okay. Now, for the surface area of the cone, okay, sorry, the curved surface area, okay, let's find the curved surface area. The curved surface area would be pi r l, okay, so pi into the radius 4 into l, we just found out the slant height l, 15.524. This would give us 195.083. Okay, and as for the total surface area, we're gonna say it's the surface area of the curved area, which is 195.083, plus its pi r square. So that would mean 16 pi, which would give us an answer of 245.348. Now we need the percentage. We need it as a percentage. So we're going to work a little further. We're going to say the total percentage equals the curved surface area over the total surface area, okay, into 100. So the curved surface area is 195.083 and the total surface area is 245.348 into 100, and this would give us 79.5%. 79.5% is our final answer. Alright, moving on to part B. Find the time taken in minutes and seconds for all the water to be poured into a container. Okay, so the radius is 0.45, 300 liters of water is to be poured, and the container at a rate of 375 per milliliter. Okay, so firstly, let's convert liters into milliliters. So 300 liters would mean simply into 1000, 300, 1, 2, 3 milliliters. Alright, then the time taken in seconds, so that would mean 300,000, okay, divided by 375. This took us 800 seconds, and if you convert this into minutes, we would get 13 minutes and 20 seconds. Alright, perfect. Calculate the height of the water in the container. Okay, so we have the volume is 300 liters. Alright, now we could convert this into meter cube, which would be 0.3 meters cube, and we have the radius, which is 0.45 meters. Alright, so that should give us volume over, now we're just rearranging the formula, okay, so pi r squared, which is 0.3 over pi into 0.45 whole square, which would give us 0.47157. Rounding it off would give us 0.472 meters. Alright, perfect. Moving on to question number 41. Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H is a cuboid with a square base of sides x centimeter. CG is 20 centimeters, CG is 20 centimeters, and AG is 28. AG is 28. Alright. Calculate the value of x. We need to find out this. Okay. So step number 1. We're going to say that this is x. Okay, and the height is h. Okay. So from the diagram we can clearly see that OG is the height and OG equals 20. Okay, so we figured that out. Then AG equals x squared plus x squared plus h squared. Okay, that should give us 2x squared plus h squared, which would give us 28. Okay, now we have the equation 2x squared plus 20 squared, okay, which is which will be equal to 28 squared. Alright, this would give us x squared is equals to 192, and our final answer would be x is equals to 13.8564, and if we round this off, we would get 13.9. Okay, perfect. Part B. The diagram shows a different cuboid. MR is equal to 30, KR is equal to 37. Calculate the lower bound of the angle between KR and the base JKLM of the cuboid. Okay, so we know MR is equals to 30 and the lower bound is 29.5. We know that KR equals 37 and the upper bound is 37.5. Okay, now we need to calculate the lower bound of the angle between KR and the base JKLM. Alright, so what we could say is Km is equals to the root of max of Kr, okay, minus minimum of Mr squared, okay. So that should give us 37.5 minus 29.5 whole squared, and this would give us 536, bringing our final answer to 23.15. Okay, now we need to find the angle. Okay, so we're gonna say sine theta equals 29.5 over this answer which we just found out, 23.15, and then theta is equal to sine inverse of 29.5 minus 23.15, and that should give us a final answer of 51.9. Okay, perfect. Question number 42. A shop sells shirts for X dollars and jackets for X minus 27. A shop sells four shirts. Okay. Write down solve an equation to find the cost of one shirt. Okay. That's pretty simple. We're gonna say 4x plus 3 x plus 27 equals 194.75. Okay. So if we further simplify, we would get this, and then we could divide and we would get 16.25. Perfect. Solve the simultaneous equations. You must show all your workings. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make one variable equal so that we could simply eliminate. Okay, so that would mean that would mean multiplying the below equation by, let's say, 4. So we have 4y common. Okay, so that would make this to be 20x plus 4y is equals to minus 32. Alright, now we could simply equate. Okay, and this should give us x squared minus 20x minus 69 is equals to 0. And then we could use middle term breaking, which would give us x plus 3, x minus 23 equals 0. And so we would get x equals minus 3, comma x equals 23. Now, we're going to put these back into the equations and we would get y equals negative 123 and y equals 7. So that would be our answer, 23 and negative 123 and negative 3 and 7. Alright, perfect. A solid cylinder has radius x and height 6x. A sphere of radius r has the same surface area as the total surface area of the cylinder. Show that r square is equal to 7 over 2 x square. Surface area A of a sphere with radius r is A is equals to 4 pi r squared. Alright, so the sphere surface area is equal to 4 pi r squared, and we're going to simply equate the two because we know that they're equal. So 4 pi r squared equals 14 pi x squared. That would mean that r squared equals to 14 over 2 x squared, which if we further simplify gives us 7 over 2 x squared, and that is our final answer, 7 over 2 x squared. Moving on to question number 43. The diagram shows a shape made from square ABCD and two equal sectors of a circle. The square has side 11. MAB and DCNI straight lines calculate the area of the shape. Okay. So, area equals 11 squared plus 2 into 1 by 4 pi r squared is 11 squared. Okay, this would give us 121 plus 1 over 2 pi into 121, resulting in 121 plus 60.5 pi, which would equal 311.0, and that is our final answer. 311.0. Alright, perfect. Calculate the perimeter of the shape. Okay, so the perimeter would be given by 4 into 11 plus 2 into 1 by 4 into 2 pi into 11. Okay, this would give us 44 plus 11 pi, giving us 78.6, and that is our final answer, 78.6. 6. Part B. Alright. So, for cube of edge 7, we need to calculate the angle between AG and the base of the cube. So, AG and the base. Okay, this angle basically. So, we know that AC would be 7 root 2. Okay. So, we're going to say this equals 1 root 2, and if we take it to the other side, 1 over root 2, this would give us 35.2, and that would be our final answer. 35.2. Alright, moving on. Question number 44. Okay. Show that the volume of the solid is 692 centimeters centimeter cube, correct to the nearest cubic centimeter. Okay, the volume for a sphere with radius r is 4 by 3 pi r cube. So that would mean this is, okay, so this is half of a sphere. So we're going to do 1 over 2 into 4 over 3 pi r cube, which will give us 2 over 3 pi into 5.4 cube, which is our radius, and that should give us 104.97. All right, perfect. Now, for the other part of the question, okay, that was the large hemisphere. Now for the smaller hemisphere, okay. So for the small hemisphere, the one at the top, we're gonna do the same thing. All right, we're gonna say 2 over 3 pi into 3.6 squared, which would give us 31.104 pi. Okay, now for the cylinder, we need to take out the volume of the cylinder. This would be given by pi r square h. So that means pi r squared into h. This would give us 84.24 pi. Now we need to simply add, and the total of this and this would give us 692 centimeter cube. All right, perfect. A part 2. Find the scale factor. Okay, so first we'll need to find a scale factor to get the total mass, because this is not at scale. Okay, so the scale factor would be 0.6 over 3.6, which is 1 over 6. Okay, now we're going to do 1 over 6 cube, which would give us 1 over 216. All right, now we need to find the original volume. Okay, volume of the new solid. So its volume would be 692 over 216, which would give us 3.204 centimeter cube. And as for the mass, mass equals volume into density. So we have the density, and we have the volume, so 3.204 into 10.49, and that would give us a final answer of 33.6. All right, perfect. Part B. All right, so the length of the arc would be given to us by the formula pi over 360 into 2 pi r. All right, that would mean 216 over 360 into 2 pi into 10, which would give us 12 pi. All right, perfect. B part 2. Okay, so we're gonna say 2 pi r radius of the cone equals 12 pi. Okay, so the radius of the cone equals 6 centimeters. All right, and the slant height is 10. Now to find the height, and we're going to find that using Pythagoras theorem. So we're going to say h is equals to root L squared minus R squared, which would give us 10 squared minus 6 squared, giving us 100 minus 36 root of 64, with a final answer of 8 centimeters. Perfect. 8. No, I'm sorry. Okay, so that would give us 8 centimeter. After this, we would have to find the volume. So the volume would be 1 over 3 pi r square h, which would give us 1 over 3 pi 6 squared into 8, would give us 96 pi, giving us an answer of 302. Alright, question number 45. So we already know the arc length, so we're going to set them equal. We're going to say x over 360 into 2 pi into 7.5 equals 2 pi into 1.5, and that should give us 72. Okay, part B. For part B, we're simply going to use Pythagoras again. We're going to say h over 2 whole squared plus 8 squared is equal to 17 squared. H squared over 4 plus 64, it will give us 289. Okay, 289, and this would give us root of 900, which is indeed equal to 30. Okay, part 2. Okay, so first we need to calculate the volume of the cylinder. Okay, so volume of the cylinder, this would be given to us by pi into 8 squared 64 into 30, which would be equal to 1920 pi. Okay, and the volume of the sphere, which would be given to us by 4 over 3 pi into 17 cube, which would give us around 6550.7 pi. Now we need to write this as a percentage. So this would be 920 pi over 655.70 pi into 100, and that should give us 29.3. Alright, part C. So for this, we'll first need to calculate the volume of the water. Okay, so the volume of the water is pretty simple. It's 20 into 20 into 15, which is 6000. Then we need volume of the sphere. So that would be 4 over 3 pi 6 cube, which would equal 288 pi, which is 904.78 centimeter cube. Alright, now we'll need to subtract the volume of sphere from the volume of the water. Alright, so that would mean 6000 minus 904.78. This should give us 5095.22. Now we need to find a new depth, so that would be given by volume of the actual water, which is 5095.22, divided by the base area, which is 400. We already know that. This would give us 12.738 with the final answer of 12.7. Alright, question number 46, which is our last question for the day. Show that angle BOC is 19.5. Okay, so OB is 6, BC is 2, and the angle BCO is 90. Okay, all right. So we're simply going to use sine. We're going to use sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, which means BC over OB, which is 2 over 6, 1 over 3, and then taking sine inverse of 1 over 3 would give us 19.4712, which is 19.5. Absolutely correct. Okay, calculate the area of the major sector AOB. Alright, so area of the sector is given by pi over 360 into pi r squared. Okay, that is 225 over 360 into pi into r squared 6 squared. Okay, that gives us 70.68, and the final answer would be 70.7. Okay, perfect. C is the midpoint of OD. Calculate AD. Okay, so we'll simply use Pythagoras. We can say OC is equal to OB squared, okay, minus BC squared, which is 6 squared minus 2 squared. Pretty simple. Gives us 5.65685. Okay, so now we have this. We have OC. Now to find OD, we'll simply gonna multiply this by 2. 5.65685. this would give us 11.314. Okay, it's clear until now. Now we're just going to use the cosine rule. Okay, so that would mean cosine 135, which is the angle, equals minus cosine 45. Okay, this would give us 0.707. Okay, so we found cosine 135. Now let's put it in the cosine rule. Okay, so AD squared is equal to 6 squared plus 11.314 whole squared minus 2 into 6 into 11.314 into, we just calculated over here, okay, minus 0.7071, and that should give us 16.1, and we got this figure by this calculation. Okay, so 16.1 is the correct answer. Part 4, calculate the total area of the shape. Okay, so the area of the shape consists of one sector AOB, the triangle OBC, and the triangle AOD. So we're going to do this step by step. Okay, so area of the sector area is equal to 22.5 pi. Okay, which would give us 70.6858. Then area of the triangle OBC would be given by 1 over 2 into 5.65, okay, into 2, so it's 5.65, because these two got cancelled. Okay, now area of the triangle AOD would be given to us by 1 over 2 into 6 into 11.3137. Okay, that would give us 24. Now we need to add all of these three areas, this 1, 2 and 3. That would mean 70.6858 plus 5.65 plus 24. That would give us a rounded off value of 100. Alright, part B. A sector of a circle has radius 8 and area 160. Alright, a similar sector has area 20. Calculate the area of the larger sector. Okay, so first you need to find the scale factor. Okay, so the scale factor is new radius over old radius, which is 20 over 8, which is 2.5. Okay, so 2.5 is the scale. Okay, so we're going to say new area equals 160, okay, into 2.5, which is our scale. This would result in 160 into 6.25, giving us the area of 1000. Pretty simple. Alright, that's it for the questions. Thank you. 7 root 2. Okay.